everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking 101, the lost episode. It turns out that I do not have a 101 demonstration for pulling a simple twisty cane out. So here it is. This is one of those techniques that you learn right off the bat when you're flame working. So if you're new to flame working, this is perfect for you to practice. These twisties are fun to add to your glass, and these are also perfect skill building exercises to help you get further into more complex cane. And with that said, let's get right into it. I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the first type of twisty that I make. And of course, all of these come out exactly the same, but I have 3 different ways to share with you. And this first way is the way I normally would make a 2-color twisty. And what I'm doing here is just getting my first color nice and hot and getting a nice big gather. And once I have the gather, the size that I'm looking for, I will go ahead and just flatten down one side of it and just let that glass kind of fall into place. So it's just like becoming a half round. Give it a couple reheats, flatten it down a little bit, just get it into shape. And then we're going to get our second color ready. And today I'm just going to use black and white and a little clear. So once you have the white nice and hot, you're looking for about the same amount as you had on the black side. So once I have that amount ready, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it onto the black and push back a little bit so it kind of touches the black rod. And now here I am going to take the white rod off, but you could use the white and black rod here as your like mandrel holders and just pull this out from here. But what I want to do, because using the punties makes things a lot easier for me. So I'm just going to roll this out. You can, you don't have to use a marble mold. You can roll it out just in the flame, but I want to roll it out and add a small punty to one side, and the punty is going to touch both the black and the white glass. Then I'll pull the black glass off and I'll add another punty on that side. Now, the thing about punties is that the smaller the punty, the harder it is for me to make a nice pull. And that's why I'm using a thin punty and a thick punty here. I have the thinner punty, which is about 1/8 of an inch. And my thicker punty is 1/4 of an inch. So now at this point, I'm just going to start heating both of these up. I'm not twisting anything yet. I'm just getting everything nice and hot, the same temperature throughout the bit of glass. And I'm going to come out of the flame and just give it a second to just kind of chill out. Then I'm going to start twisting and gently pulling. And you notice the size of my punties matters here. The thinner side is twisting very thin and a little awkward. The thicker side, though, is pulling out really nice. So I always recommend to use a thicker punty when you're pulling out these twisties. And of course, at this point, at the end here, you could heat it up and continue pulling it out a little bit more, or you could just take it right off. Okay, so there's our first twisty. Now, the second one I want to share with you all is a single color twisty. So I'm going to start out by using just clear. And I want to get a really nice, large amount of clear, hot and big gather, because I'm not going to put a whole bunch of white on. I'm going to put a thinner amount of white on than I did previously. So I'm just going to heat this up, continue gathering, and then I'm going to go ahead and punty up one side. And I am using a thinner punty on all of these demos so you can kind of see the ends and how different they pull out. So once I have this clear, I'm going to just shape it up a little bit. Again, you don't have to use a marble mold to shape it up with. It just works out a lot quicker for me that way. Now I'm going to add a couple of stripes of white on here, and I'm going to start at the end and work my way up to the punty, and I make sure that the punty has some of the color on it as well, so it stretches nice and evenly. And you notice I'm not putting a whole bunch of white on here because I want kind of the white to not be, I want it to be less amount of glass, so you'll see a nice coil twist on this. Okay, so on the other side I will add my slightly larger punty. Now usually in a normal situation I would add the same size punty on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start heating this up. Take my time, get it nice and hot. And again, you will notice the difference from the thinner punty to the thicker punty. And the thinner punty is, because it's thinner, it's heating up a lot more. Therefore, it's going to take it a little bit longer to cool down. So when I come out of the flame and gently start twisting, again, you'll see the difference between one end and the other end of the punties. And I'm going to start twisting and pulling and twisting and pulling nice and evenly. And at the end here, I can come out and just kind of, just waft it in the flame a little bit. The coil might not be exactly the same as the rest of the twisty, but you'll still get a good amount out of it. Okay, so there's our nice coiled twisty, and I just use a little tiny pliers to break off the other end. Cool. Okay, so now for our last one, and this is actually the very first way I learned how to make a simple twisty, and I am using 2 colors here, and I'm trying to make sure these 2 color rods are exactly the same diameter. It works a lot better when they're the same size. If one is different or bigger than the other, it can be a little side heavy with that color. Anyway, so I'm heating up about 1 inch of each color, and then I will apply one color on top of the other and melt them together just to where they're touching. And now because the ends are off center, I'm going to heat one end, just the black side, and then I'm going to bend into the white and pull it back out so that the black rod is centered, and it's going to make pulling these out so much easier. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the white. I'm just going to heat up the white side and then bend it into the black and bring it back out. And now I have 2 sides that are nice and even in the center of both rods. This is going to make everything so much easier to twist and pull. Now, however, this is the one part about this technique that I don't really like, because at this point, what you're trying to do is heat up these 2 rods and not get them to pull out. So as I'm heating this up, I'm trying to kind of hold it all together. And making the initial twist is a little awkward for me. So I kind of hold everything in the air. And I'm not pulling here, I'm just doing a twist. And as it starts to cool down, that's when I will start to also be pulling and twisting. So this pulling and twisting, you really want to get used to it. And there's no punties here. The only drawback on this is that these twisties, when you're using the rod over rod method, the twisty can be a little shorter. So just be aware that, it's just a little less glass. But you see that if you kind of hover it in the flame a couple times, you can still get a lot more glass off one end. And that's it, you guys. This is the simple twisties. I hope you all enjoy. And if you haven't made twisties before, I hope you start making some. And on that note, I hope to see you all next time in the dungeon.